Healing isn't linear, and in Selena Gomez's case, it wasn't just uneven. It was shattered, rebuilt, and reborn piece by piece. Her journey wasn't the glossy narrative people saw on magazine covers or red carpets. It was survival, quiet, messy, and deeply human. From global fame to emotional collapse, from public heartbreaks to private healing, Selena lived every stage of pain under the world's microscope. And through it all, she somehow found her way back to herself. Her story with Justin Bieber was never just a celebrity love affair. It was a storm disguised as a fairy tale, a cycle of connection and destruction that millions watched unfold in real time. Behind the smiles and songs were nights filled with confusion, self-doubt, and heartbreak. Every time she tried to move on, something pulled her back. "I had to find a way to survive," Selena said once, a line that carried more truth than years of speculation ever could. While fans turned their relationship into a saga of clues and theories, Selena was quietly falling apart. The girl the world knew as strong and smiling was crumbling inside. Her confidence eroded, her trust vanished, and she began to lose sight of who she was without him. And then one day it all ended, suddenly, brutally. Justin's surprise marriage to Hailey Baldwin was like a door slamming shut without warning. To the public, it was gossip. To Selena, it was grief. She vanished. No interviews, no posts. Just silence. But even in that silence, she was creating not revenge, but release. Out of the ashes came Lose You to Love Me, her most honest and haunting song yet. It wasn't a cry for attention. It was a requiem for a version of herself that had been lost in someone else's shadow. Her voice trembled, but her words stood tall. "In 2 months, you replaced us." It wasn't anger. It was acceptance. It was goodbye. Healing didn't happen overnight. It took years of reflection, therapy, and loneliness before she felt ready to love again. In 2024, she admitted, "I hadn't liked anyone in a very long time." There was no bitterness, just quiet truth. Then came Benny Blanco. Not a replacement, not a rebound, but a calm presence in a life that had known only storms. He didn't try to fix her. He gave her space to breathe. Their connection wasn't about fireworks. It was about peace. "Some kisses are just for fun," she said. But this one meant something. Fans noticed. "I don't want a toxic Justin Bieber. I want a nurturing Benny Blanco," one viral comment read. This wasn't just a new relationship. It was a rebirth. Selena wasn't pretending to be strong anymore. She was strong. Her love wasn't desperate or painful. It was steady, safe, real. Still, the past doesn't disappear easily. For years, people speculated about what really happened behind the scenes. The rumors, the timelines, the betrayals. Selena never confirmed or denied anything, until she did. In a 2020 NPR interview, she quietly acknowledged what so many had suspected. When asked if she experienced emotional abuse, she didn't hesitate. "Yes," she said. "No drama, no anger. Just truth. I do feel I was a victim of certain abuse," she continued. "But I found strength in it." That single sentence carried more power than any lyric she'd ever written. Around the same time, Justin posted a confession of his own. "I started doing heavy drugs at 19. I abused all my relationships. I was resentful and disrespectful to women." He didn't mention names, but everyone knew what years he meant and who had been caught in that storm. For the first time, their truths coexisted, not as weapons, but as acknowledgments. Two people finally honest, separately, quietly, and completely. It wasn't about blame anymore. It was about survival, about walking away from the wreckage without needing to point fingers. That's what real closure looks like. Not a clean ending, but the courage to say, "I lived through it, and I'm okay now." Selena's story was never just about heartbreak. It was about rebirth. From a teenager in love to a woman in control, she learned that healing isn't about forgetting what hurt you. It's about learning to love the parts of yourself that survived it. Her relationship with Justin wasn't her defining chapter. It was the one that taught her how to write the rest of the book. And when she finally closed it, she didn't slam it shut. She placed it gently on the shelf and walked away. Because real healing doesn't look like a perfect ending. It looks like peace. It looks like Selena Gomez, smiling softly, finally free, and never needing to explain again. And today, when Selena steps on stage or posts a quiet picture with Benny, it feels different. Lighter. The girl who once sang from pain now sings from peace. Her voice doesn't tremble anymore. It glows. Each lyric isn't a wound reopened, it's a scar that's finally healed. You can hear it in the way she laughs, see it in the way she carries herself. There's a stillness to her presence now, a sense that she's no longer performing for survival. She's simply living. What's most powerful is how she chose to heal publicly, but without spectacle. Selena didn't sell her story as scandal. She shared it as truth. She didn't write songs to hurt anyone. She wrote them to understand herself. In an industry that thrives on drama, she became the rare voice of grace. And somehow, that grace turned into strength. Even Justin, who's now a father, seems to mirror that calm. The two of them exist on parallel paths, no longer crossing, but no longer clashing either. Their silence toward each other isn't cold. It's peaceful. It's the silence that comes when forgiveness doesn't need words. Because deep down, they both survived something that could have broken them completely. Selena once said, "I'm proud of the person I've become because I fought to become her." And that's what people see now, a woman who isn't defined by heartbreak or fame, but by resilience. She built her empire, her peace, and her love life from the ground up. Maybe that's why her story resonates beyond the headlines. It's not about who she lost. It's about who she found in herself. In every lyric, every smile, every quiet refusal to engage in old drama, she's reminding the world that healing isn't glamorous, but it's worth it. Because after all the noise, all the years of chaos and commentary, Selena Gomez finally did the one thing no one expected. She found peace and didn't need permission to keep it. Now, when you look at Selena Gomez, you don't see the heartbreak that once defined her. You see someone who has made peace with her past and transformed it into purpose. She isn't chasing hits or headlines anymore. She's building a legacy rooted in honesty, empathy, and quiet power. Her success doesn't scream, it hums with calm certainty. The world that once devoured her pain is now witnessing her strength. She's learned that boundaries are not walls, they're shields, and protecting her peace doesn't make her distant. It makes her whole. The woman who once felt broken by love now creates from a place of balance. Her work with rare beauty, her advocacy for mental health, and her openness about vulnerability have redefined what strength looks like in an industry obsessed with perfection. Fans have noticed the shift. They're no longer dissecting her lyrics for pain. They're celebrating the way her music feels lighter, more grounded, more her. Even songs that once carried grief now sound like gratitude. She isn't haunted by the past, she's harmonized with it. In interviews, she smiles when asked about love, but there's no trace of the old uncertainty. Her answers are simple. I'm happy, I'm loved, I'm safe. And for someone who once lived in survival mode, those 3 sentences mean everything. What makes Selena's story so powerful isn't just her comeback, it's her evolution. She didn't just recover from what broke her, she transformed it into something beautiful. She's proof that peace isn't found in forgetting, it's found in remembering without pain. And maybe that's the message she's leaving the world with. Healing doesn't erase your past, it just changes the way you carry it. She doesn't need to prove anything anymore. Not to her fans, not to her critics, not even to her past. Selena Gomez has already won. Not through revenge, not through validation, but through stillness. The kind that only comes when you finally stop running from your story and start walking toward your peace. In the years since her quiet rebirth, Selena's life has become something beautifully ordinary. And that's exactly what makes it extraordinary. The chaos that once surrounded her has faded into the background, replaced by small human moments. Cooking at home with Benny, visiting her mom, laughing with friends away from the cameras. For the first time, her world isn't about surviving. It's about living. She still writes music, but now the lyrics sound like soft reflections rather than open wounds. In her latest interviews, she admits she doesn't want to chase the chart-topping chaos anymore. She wants peace, creativity, and meaning. "I just want to be remembered as someone who was kind," she said. And in that single sentence, she managed to summarize everything she's become. Her fans, many of whom grew up watching her fall apart and rebuild, see themselves in her. They watched her heartbreak unfold in public, and now they watch her healing unfold just as openly. To them, she isn't just a pop star. She's living proof that you can lose everything, even yourself, and still come back whole. Even the media that once twisted her story now treats her differently. The tone has changed from gossip to admiration. Headlines call her resilient, inspirational, a survivor. And maybe that's what this new era of Selena is about. Not rewriting her story, but reclaiming it. She's no longer Justin's ex or the girl from Disney. She's a woman who outgrew her pain, turned it into art, and found peace where the world expected drama. That's the quiet revolution she's leading. One built not on noise, but on grace. And as she walks into this new chapter, there's no more chasing, no more explaining, no more performing for the world's approval. Selena doesn't need to prove she's healed, she just is. Her journey reminds everyone watching that healing isn't a destination. It's a rhythm. Some days you dance, some days you crawl. But eventually, you stand tall again, and when you do, you realize that peace isn't the absence of pain. It's the ability to keep loving life in spite of it. That's where Selena Gomez stands now, not in the spotlight's glare, but in its gentle glow. Not searching for closure, but living it. And maybe that's the quiet miracle of it all. That after years of being defined by heartbreak, Selena has learned to define herself by hope. The same girl who once cried on stage is now smiling without needing to prove that she's okay. Her peace isn't performative. It's lived in every calm breath, every unfiltered photo, every moment she chooses not to respond to noise that no longer deserves her voice. There's a power in that kind of stillness. It's the kind that only comes after you've been broken in every possible way and somehow still decide to choose love. Not for someone else, but for yourself. Selena's story is no longer a tragedy. It's a transformation. She's not the victim or the hero, she's simply human. Real, flawed, and finally free. The world, of course, keeps spinning its stories. There will always be rumors, whispers, and fan theories. But she doesn't chase or correct them anymore. That's the difference now. The old Selena would have explained herself. The new Selena just smiles because she knows peace doesn't need an audience. Her fans, the ones who've grown up with her, have started mirroring that same quiet confidence. They aren't waiting for the next heartbreak album or public apology. They're learning from her what healing really looks like. Soft, slow, and steady. She's teaching them that sometimes closure isn't something you get. It's something you create by deciding you've already had enough pain. And so, when people talk about Selena Gomez now, it's no longer in the past tense. She's not the girl who was broken, or the singer who used to love him. She's the woman who is and when is still standing, still creating, still shining. Maybe that's her greatest love story of all. Not the one she shared with anyone else, but the one she finally built with herself. The one that doesn't end in heartbreak, but in peace. That's the version of Selena the world sees today. The one who's no longer trying to prove her worth, but simply living it. She walks through airports without an entourage, holds Benny's hand without the need to hide, and smiles at cameras without the pressure of perfection. There's an ease to her now, a softness that can only come from surviving the fire and realizing it never had to define her. Her peace is quiet, but it's powerful. You can feel it in the way she talks to fans, in how she chooses her projects, in the way she says no without guilt. She's done with over-explaining, over-performing, and overthinking. She's finally living like someone who knows she's enough, because she's had to earn that truth the hard way. When she sings now, it's not for closure or confession. It's for joy, for love, for the girl she used to be and the woman she's become. Her new songs aren't about the past. They're about being here, right now, grounded, grateful, and finally happy. And maybe that's what makes Selena's story resonate so deeply. It's not the fame or the headlines. It's the human truth underneath it all. That healing isn't about forgetting the pain. It's about outgrowing it. She's proof that you can lose yourself completely and still find your way back. Softer, wiser, and freer than before. Her story isn't just hers anymore. It belongs to anyone who's ever loved too deeply, hurt too much, and somehow found the courage to start again. Because at the end of everything, the fame, the heartbreak, the noise, Selena Gomez didn't just survive. She became. And maybe that's the real ending. Not the dramatic kind the internet waits for, but the quiet kind that actually matters. Selena Gomez didn't need a grand finale or a headline-worthy comeback. Her victory came in the stillness, in learning that peace is louder than applause, and healing is stronger than heartbreak. She's not chasing validation anymore. She's choosing peace, purpose, and people who bring her calm. The girl the world once watched fall apart has become the woman who no longer needs to prove she's whole. Because in the end, Selena's story isn't about who she lost. It's about who she found when the noise finally stopped. Herself. And that's the kind of ending that doesn't fade when the lights go out. It's the kind that lasts quietly, powerfully, endlessly.